You can be a genuinely good person and still leave people feeling slightly uncomfortable around you. Not because you said something wrong, and not because you meant to, but because of a few small habits that quietly change how people feel in the moment. And the strange part is, most of them don't feel like a problem while you're doing them. Maybe you've had a conversation like this before. Everything seemed normal, no awkward silence, no obvious mistake. You talked, they responded. You even felt like it went pretty well. But afterward, something felt slightly off. The energy shifted in a way you couldn't quite explain. They felt a bit more distant, a bit less open, and you start replaying it in your head, trying to find what went wrong. But nothing stands out. And I've noticed this myself. Those are the moments that confuse you the most, because nothing feels wrong while it's happening. It's only later, when the interaction is over, that something doesn't sit right. And that's usually the clue. Because most social disconnect doesn't come from something obvious. It comes from small signals that quietly change how someone feels around you. And once you start paying attention to those small moments, a different pattern begins to show up. It's not really about what you said. It's about how the other person felt while they were talking to you. Because in most conversations, people aren't analyzing your words that closely. They're reacting to the feeling of the interaction. And I think that's the part most people miss. You can have good intentions and still create the wrong experience. Not because you're doing something big, but because of small things that shift the emotional tone. Take something as simple as talking a little too much. It doesn't feel wrong in the moment. In fact, it can feel like you're keeping the conversation alive. You're adding stories, sharing experiences, filling the silence. But on the other side, something subtle starts to happen. The conversation slowly shifts from something shared into something centered around you. And the other person feels it. Not in a dramatic way, just a quiet sense that there isn't much space left for them. I've caught myself doing this before, thinking I was being engaging, when really I was just not leaving enough room. And it's not just talking too much. Sometimes it's responding to someone's story by immediately telling a bigger one of your own, or steering the topic back to your perspective. Small things like that don't seem harmful, but they change the balance. And when that balance shifts too far, people don't feel included anymore. Then there are moments that feel like you're helping, but don't land that way. Like giving advice when no one asks for it. It comes from a good place. You're trying to be useful, to offer something valuable, but underneath that, it can feel like you're correcting them, like you've already decided what they should be doing instead. And people pick up on that quickly. I've noticed this in myself too. The moment I shift from listening to trying to fix, and something changes. The conversation becomes less open, more guarded. Even something like overexplaining can do this. You think you're being clear, but it can sound like you're trying too hard to control how you're perceived, or using sarcasm a little too often. It might feel playful to you, but to someone else, it creates just enough tension that they don't fully relax around you. And none of these are big mistakes, but they all carry the same signal that you're evaluating rather than understanding. And sometimes it's not even about what you say. It's what you don't notice, like missing small emotional signals. Someone pauses for a second longer than usual. Their tone shifts slightly. They give shorter responses. Nothing obvious, but something has changed. And if you don't pick up on it, the conversation keeps going, just without the same connection. Or something as simple as eye contact, looking away too often, checking your phone, not fully being there. I've had moments like this too, where I was physically present, but mentally somewhere else, and people can feel that immediately. And then there's negativity. Not in a dramatic way, just a pattern of focusing on what's wrong. Over time, it creates a certain weight in the interaction, and people don't always know why. They just know they don't feel as good when they're around you. And when you step back and look at all of this together, it starts to become clearer. None of these behaviors are extreme. Most of them are subtle, almost invisible, but they all affect the same thing: how someone feels in your presence. Because socially, people don't process interactions like a checklist, they experience them. And I think this is where everything shifts. It's not about being more interesting or more impressive. It's about whether someone feels comfortable being themselves around you. And the moment that feeling disappears, even slightly, the connection starts to fade, even if nothing wrong actually happened. So most of the time, people don't pull away because you did something obviously wrong. It happens in smaller moments than that. Moments where they don't feel heard, or don't feel included, or don't quite feel like themselves around you. And I think that's the part that's easy to miss. You don't lose connection all at once, you lose it quietly, in moments where someone stops feeling seen. And maybe that's something most of us don't realize right away. Because none of this is about being a bad person. It's about small moments that shape how people feel around you. And I've been on both sides of that, feeling slightly disconnected and causing it without noticing. So maybe it's not about changing who you are, just becoming a little more aware of what others experience when they're with you. If this made you think a little, you can stick around for more.